later. All right, so let's get started. We'll be adapting this MDN 2D breakout game using phaser tutorial, but we will be using phaser 3, whereas this tutorial uses phaser 2, so it's going to require a bit of adapting, and we're going to use the format from this modern JavaScript tutorial, which I went over in last week's meeting, and there's a video if you want to follow that, or you could just go through the tutorial. It's going to be based on this parcel template. So in order to get started, we'll go through this template. I guess first I'll show you what the project looks like. So I'm running it right now. This is what it'll be like when we're done. Of course, there's always a mouse cursor in the middle of the thing. There it is. Add a couple of sound effects that you may hear. Got those from freesound.org. So there's a few things that I added that aren't in projects, so we'll go over that. But I won't go on at length there. It's Breakout. So before I go too far, check back in. Yes. So before I get into making the game, I wanted to go over a little presentation to talk about a little preparation before we get started making the game. If you want to follow this tutorial and make the game, and if all you want to do is just like make what's in the tutorial, then that's fine. If you want to do that, then you could certainly do that, and we'll as we go through, I've adapted some things to sort of try to make that fun, as it were, as it stands. Alternatively, you could try to take the tutorial and then adapt the existing functionality to make your own game with a series of levels. You could make extra features like power-ups or different types of blocks. I mean, if you're interested in making a game, then these are further things that you can do. So with the idea of designing multiple levels, we do encounter a technical problem with JavaScript. And the issue is that JavaScript runs in your browser, and as such, due to technical limitations, JavaScript that's running in your browser cannot access files. This creates difficulty for having some sort of interface where you make levels like visually and then you save them. Like ideally you'd want to save them to a file like level2.txt or whatever format you're using, but you can't do that with like a level editor or something that's running just on the front end. So yeah, that's gonna create some level of challenge. So if we wanted to make multiple levels, we have a few different ways we could try to do that. We could hand code the levels, basically just make like a two-dimensional array, and then put, I mean, at the most basic level, if the only options you want to have is like a block or no block, then you could have true or false in each entry in the array. Or if you want different block types and things like that, then it gets a little more complicated even then, because in each entry in the array, you're going to have an object with different values, and then with that, if you're probably going to end up doing a lot of copying and pasting, and the more hand coding or copying and pasting you're doing, the more you can have errors introduced. So pros, you don't have to spend a lot of time making an extra application to make levels. Cons, it's going to be difficult to keep track of what you're doing. Like it's hard to look at it and be able to visually see what it's going to look like, and it can have typos. And the more levels you have, the more different types of blocks, the more rows, more columns. As each type of scale goes up, it becomes worse to have it hand coded because it gets harder to keep track of. You could have a visual interface that outputs the level as a JavaScript object. And then I had made a Breakout game and then like made an editor before, so I could create levels for it, and it was all just pure JavaScript. But this was the first method that I used when I was doing that. So the pro, you would have some automation, so you'd have less typos. You'd save time creating a database system or something like that. The cons, if you're outputting it as a JavaScript level and then just like saving it to a file, like you would have to go back into VS Code, have like basically a JavaScript file that contains an object that's exported, and then the object would be equal to the values that's outputted from that. Okay, and then the cons, yeah, it's going to be difficult to edit the level, and like unless you create some functionality to like paste the object into like a text box and then load it into the window of like the editor and then re-output it. And then you always have to start from scratch. You still have the possibility of copy paste mistakes. So another option you could use is a local storage editor with output on command. I'm not sure. Oh, right. Like I guess you could store the levels in local storage, and then if you wanted to, you could output them to like a JavaScript object, so you could hard code the levels at that point. So the pros, you can reload the levels to be able to edit them. You have a visual interface that allows you to visualize the level. You don't have to have typos, but the cons is it's a lot of work to make the editor. And then the way local storage works is it only stores information on one browser and one computer. And even with that, so if you make a level in Firefox, you won't be able to see it in Chrome on your computer, or on another computer you won't be able to see it. And then if for some reason you clear your temporary files, then your levels will be gone again, because all of that stuff is all lumped together. And then if you're just outputting the JavaScript objects, you still have that limitation that has to be manually put in. You could do an editor that writes files to a database, but then you have to learn how to make a database, whether on the cloud or local or what have you. If you already know how, then it's just a matter of the work it takes to create the database and create the interface for it, the API and all that. So obviously it would be automated. Cons, it's a lot of extra work. There's not necessarily any right answer. It depends on what skills you already have and how much work you want to put into the project and that you can. I'd say outputting a JavaScript object is a good medium ground option. So I just wanted to discuss that in case you had more stuff you wanted to do with it, or if you had other goals with it. All right, so we'll get started. Let me stop the server on the existing project here, and then we'll follow this parcel template here, so we're just going to follow, we're going to use this line here. So I'll copy that. And what this will do is it'll set up a boilerplate phaser project that we can start to work with. So all we're going to do is delete my folder name, and we'll create a folder, MDN Breakout Tutorial 5. And then let's see, we have to go to that directory. And the first thing we have to do is use npm install to install all the dependencies for this project. So that might take a minute or two. Then we'll have to create a public folder and an assets folder. So I'll just go ahead and do that now. Make a public folder, and then I'll go into the public folder and make an assets folder. All right. Then let's see here. I gotta navigate to this new folder here so I can, let's see, so many projects. Here we go. And I just find it the easiest way to navigate files when I'm needing to paste files in this with Windows. So I have these the assets. Let's see. Yeah, so they're here. We could get each one of them here. Oh yeah, so you can go in here and then like download each one individually. I'm just going to copy it from my old project file so I can get all these at once, but you could get them from online, which is not that different from the process of going through the MDN tutorial, which is a little weird because they like make you grab each asset like one at a time, a little bit out of step. So we'll go ahead and we're on the MDN tutorial here, and they're just giving a little preamble, and then we can go to the first step, which is basically they're telling you to create the base HTML file, which we don't really need to worry about, but we can. Let's see. I'm gonna have to come in here and go into this new oh, right. This new folder. And let me see, src. So in the index, I just want to change the title. MDN Breakout Tutorial. Great. Save that, and let's see. So for the other parts of what they have here, the title, obviously I had to go to the HTML file to edit that. We don't need to worry about importing the phaser because that's all done elsewhere in that the parcel template, phaser 3 parcel template. So the stuff that's in this script tag here, so this part we're going to do over here in the main.js file because this is split out more modularly. and the config object is in the main JS over here. So they want the type can do I think OpenGL, Canvas, or Auto, and they're just saying to do it as Canvas in this tutorial, which is it's like whatever. And then we'll take these are the dimensions that they're giving, 480, 320. So we'll set the width in the config object to 480, the height to 300. I'm going to take this gravity out because we're not going to need gravity in this project. And let's see here, we'll go back here. So this part, preload, create, update, that is all going to exist in our scenes. So we'll open up the scenes folder and we'll go ahead and create a game scene file, which is going to be similar to the game scene from the modern JavaScript tutorial. But starting off, it's pretty basic. It doesn't have a lot of code, so we're just going to import phaser and export the scene, which extends phaser scene, and we'll have the constructor, because you always have to have a constructor. Well, I don't know if you always have to have a constructor with a class object, but you often will. And then this is the only thing we really need to do in the constructor for now. I don't know exactly how that part works, so that's just one of those things that I've been following the tutorial and doing. These, though, we do need, and each scene will have preload, create, and update. And then so when we're following these tutorial steps, a lot of times it'll reference scene, and that's when we're in this file, that's just going to be this object. This is the scene. And then now we have the game scene. So we'll go ahead and import that into main.js, and we'll replace over here the scene. We'll just have the game scene. We'll take hello world scene out. I actually never got around to taking that out of the project file from the one that I was doing. I was mostly going through it today, so it was, yeah. We'll just take that out. We don't need that, and I'll just delete the hello world scene because we won't need it. Yes, I'm sure. All right, so I think that covers what's in this. Yeah, so now we have preload, create, update. We have our, the important phaser methods, and we have the dimensions set and all that. Oh, they also, what did they do? I thought they set the background color, but yeah, so it's the rendering options are auto, canvas, and WebGL. So I can't say much about that. It doesn't really matter. So I'm going to advance to the next step, but I'm going to check back here to see if anybody has any questions. Feel free to ask at any time. After every step, I'll check back on the chat to see where everybody's at. If anybody has any questions, if you're just following along and watching, that is fine. So now we deal with the scale object. So this is something that's going to work totally different. We don't do that in here. So let me see. We'll just look this up. Phaser 3 scale. Here we go. So we go to the Everything is going to go in the config object. So we're looking at documentation here to figure out how to set the scaling. Let's see here. Put this in before physics. Scale. Let's see, scale. That'll be an object. And then let's see. Mode and auto fit. Let's see, which ones did they want us to do here? Mode. Let's see. I'll go through the documentation to figure out the right things to put in. I think that's what I did when I was doing this earlier. So we'll say modes, phasor, scale, fit. I think that's what we want. Okay. And then auto center, center both, I think is what we'll want. I gotta go scale center both. Okay, good, got it. There we go. That should take care of scaling. Already a little taste of how it tends to be different trying to do. You don't need to run. Let's come back here. I think that's. Oh right. Let's see. Stage phasor 3. I don't think I'm gonna set the background color. Yeah, because I didn't when I was doing it before. And if I'm copying all the score text stuff, it's gonna be let's see here. So yeah, we're good with that. I'm not concerned with those things. So that is a step. Just checking to see if there are any questions. Okay. So now we're going to load the ball into the project. So let's see here. Okay, so we're not going to use var ball. What we're going to do is, first of all, we're going to make a key variable, a constant. So let's see, ball key. That way we can use this every time we're referencing the ball, so we avoid typos. Whoops, I'm like realizing I'm in the wrong file. Let's go back to game scene. Here we go. This is where we want to be. So const ball key equals ball. Okay, and then we come back to preload. And oh, so I want to make a method here, create ball. I'm getting a little out of order. So first, the variable, we'll have this dot ball equals undefined here. And then in create ball, but preload, we got to load the image first. I am getting all over the place. So here's another example where if it says game, what we're going to do is just use this. So this load image ball key, and it's going to be in assets ball.png. And then in the create ball method, let me come back here. This is going to be what our code is going to be different. Let's see. That might not be too bad. Okay, so we'll follow them around. This add image. Hold on. We want to assign this to a variable. Ball key 50 50. Oh wait, so it's the, I got them backwards. Okay, I gotta, the key comes last. So ball. Okay, so we do that. We create that, and then let's see. We're gonna just return the ball, and in here, in create, we'll assign the value of this ball to the return value of create ball. And at this point, you can go ahead and run the thing so we can see the output of this. Okay, this may take a minute to start up for the first time. There's a bit of a ramp up. Let's see. We shall find out. But that is about it for that step. Some of the steps are a little longer, more complicated, painful, and what have you. As it goes. Let's see. So this, yeah, it'll take a while. That's been my experience with phaser stuff. So I'm gonna advance to the next thing, and we'll take a look back at that in a minute. So updating the ball's position on each frame. This is just kind of wacky. So the first thing they want you to do is put it in the update function. I think they make you change that again in a minute. So, oh, so let's see here. They're gonna have us. So here's another difference. They're wanting to, first of all, enable physics, which we've already done, and then they want to have the. Oh wait, hold on. Right, they want to start the body velocity, and then I think it's like another step where they make it bounce off the walls. So we could do this all pretty simply. Ball. Let's see. I go to my blah. Okay, let's see. Over here, was it the bomb spawner? Right. Okay. So set collider. Oh, I see. So here's another gotcha. I forgot to set physics. And then let me just. Okay, let me check back on my source code, because this is vexing me ever so slightly. Right, okay, I thought so. Okay. Come back over here. I just forgot the order. Physics, add, then we'll add the image. And we'll have access to, okay. And then let's just make a method to set the ball velocity and ball. Let's see here. And we'll say ball set velocity 150. And then when that gets done, we'll call this dot set ball velocity this ball. And we shall see if that works. And to it, we'll also see if this is running yet. Yes, it is. That's curious. No, I don't want to go there. Let's see here. Okay, we're all doing okay. So, oh, I know what I did not do. So, let's see here. They created the ball, set origin. Where they? I gotta go back a couple of steps because I forgot to pay attention to the part where they set the origin. I'm doing the thing that I hate when people do in tutorials when they keep going back. They're like, oh, wait, I messed up. But that is going to happen here. Because I'm doing this live. So let's see, where did they say how much they were offsetting it? Should have been in this step when they were. Maybe it was. Maybe I'm just driving myself crazy. Okay. And create ball. I guess we're adding a sprite. I don't know if that makes any difference. Maybe it does. Oh, I know it. Haha. I'm missing another rope line. But see, you can't count on this thing. So ball, set, bounce, 1. So that will now deliver the expected results. I was expecting it to bounce off of the walls, and now it will. Yay, there you go. So now it's doing what I expected it to do. Great. So I think that's all the things. Great. So we can move on to another step. The sixth step. The sixth step of this sick tutorial. Let's see. Oh, bouncing off the world boundaries. So again, I'm ahead of myself, but as you can see, these directions are different. So let's see. So now we will be rendering the paddle. So we'll start off with making the paddle key. This gets to be kind of a rhythm. We do sort of the same process for everything. Then we make a paddle variable in the constructor. We make a create method, create paddle. So I should have loaded the image. This load image paddle key assets. I think it's paddle PNG. Let me take a look over here. Assets. Yes, paddle PNG. Naturally. Paddle PNG. I'm proud of myself. We are doing this thing. So now let's see here. We go into create paddle, create the paddle variable. Let's see. I have to go back to my reference on what to. Oh, also before we do this, because they're gonna want some positioning to initialize this paddle with. So we need a paddle object. So this canvas equals undefined, and we're gonna assign the value of this canvas to sys canvas. I think, let me double check if that's right. I gotta go back to my previous code here. Once again, oh, sys game canvas. Why? Okay, why do they have this signature? I don't know. So sys game canvas. Okay. That way we can use that as a reference to position the canvas or the paddle. So this canvas dot width times 0.5, and then canvas dot height minus, I think, let me double check on what they're asking us to do here for the height. Game world minus 5. Okay. Minus 5. And paddle key. That'll do it for that. And let's see here. And then they want us to set the anchor. So we'll use set origin where they're saying set anchor. That's just because all game objects are positioned according to the center of the object. So you have to use offsets if you want to position them based off of something else. So let's see, 0.51. Okay. And then we can turn the paddle. And then let's see, we go up to create. And this will assign the value of this paddle to what? I don't know why I have that there. I just randomly added some nonsense code, as one does. Hey, I'm trying to speak and to to do things here. So I'm going to refer back to this other sample project here. So, add a collider. That's what you do. I mean, we're always looking at sample code, not reinventing the wheel or anything. So this ball and this paddle. So now we have collider, the ball, and the paddle. And we shall see if that does indeed work. It does. But I think there's another piece of code we need to use to make the paddle not be okay. So I'm gonna have to refer to my sample code on this one because I forget what it was. And this was one where the system was yelling at me and telling me that wasn't supposed to be able to do what I was doing. Let's see, create paddle. Oh no, not on this one. So you have to refer to the body and set the immovable value to 0. I have a feeling that that's not the best way to do that, but it's a way that I found to do it. So paddle body movable equals true, and then that'll solve that particular problem there. I'll check back here and it shouldn't move this time when it gets hit. Great. Fantabulous. Now they want controls for this is where I differed quite substantially on the original code. So I'm just gonna deep dive into this, and I'm gonna use my own project as a reference for this. I did a little bit of a, I don't know. I mean, I guess you could call it a no-no, or just it's a little silly in that I didn't use the phasor physics. Don't ask me why. But I did try using them at one point, and they weren't creating the results that I was looking for, so I just used this. So I'm going to make some constants in the constructor. I'm realizing I misspelled physics in my comment over there before. So we'll have a velocity variable initially equal 0, acceleration, and it's just a random value that I came up with from playing around with numbers. We'll have a max velocity, and we'll get back to that max ball velocity later. Drag, and that's all we need for now. Also need this cursors, which will be this is similar to what was in the tutorial project last week. So that's where I'm driving this from, because Phasor has a built-in method for capturing input from the keyboard. So we're just going to use that here, this input, create cursor keys, and that will automatically assign certain inputs to this cursors, which we can then test for in update. So basically, we'll use those variables from before. So first of all, we'll check if cursors left is down, and if so, then velocity minus equals the acceleration value, and else if the cursors, if the right cursor is down, Then we'll set the velocity. We'll add the value of acceleration to the velocity. Else, so if neither cursor is being pressed, then we'll check if the velocity is greater than 0, then we'll subtract the drag value from the velocity, so it's getting slowed down. And then obviously if the velocity is negative, that just means it's going the other direction. In that case, we'll want to add the drag value, and that's just slowing it down. It gives kind of a almost like air hockey feel to the paddle, which I sort of like. That's why I did this way. Whatever they were doing in the tutorial was like a totally different method of controlling it, and I wasn't crazy about that. And then we'll check to see if the velocity is greater than the maximum velocity using the math absolute JavaScript method. Yeah, so if it's greater than max velocity, we're gonna set the velocity to the max velocity, but we have to test whether it's less than 0. So if it's less than 0, we set it to the max velocity times -1. So that way it's still going in the same direction. And this would all be simpler if we were using the built-in phaser-like stuff. So we skip most of the rest of this. Oh, right. So we're just, some of this other stuff is things we're not using yet. I'm just copying myself. So this paddle set velocity. This velocity. Okay. Great. So now we have cursor control for the paddle, I think. And we have the physics things. So we'll save that. Let's see if that works. I don't know. Don't know what to expect right now. Okay. So now there is a moving paddle. Huzzah, interactivity. Oh. So, slight issue. Set glide world bounds true. So we don't want the paddle to go out of the world. So that should fix that here. Okay, so yeah, now it can't leave the world. Because that's not going to be very helpful. Okay. Let me check back here. Okay, doing all right. So let's see. Controlling the paddle. Paddle is controlled. All right, so now we are setting the ball. Oh, this is where they're setting the anchor. So let's see. Go back to create ball and set origin 0.5. I don't know. I'll just use that value. I don't know if that's what they want or not. It's hard to tell when comparing different. Okay, so okay, right. So when we do create ball, we'll reference the canvas again. And we'll set the height to canvas height minus 25, I believe is what they described. And then, oh yes, we just changed the velocity here. So it's, what is it? 150, negative 150. Okay. So that should be that. Yep, that's starting out on the paddle. Fantastic. Okay. As you can see, there's a fair amount of adaptation to go between. Okay, so now we're gonna do this. This is a whole interesting thing. Check collision. This was kind of a tough one. So let's see. I'm gonna check my other project again. So this is how we do this. On world bounds true, and then we got to go up here. So in the create method, we create a event listener, basically. See this physics world on world bounds. And I gotta create that method. Let's see. I have to go find it. I don't remember what was in it. This, yeah. Okay, it's like at the bottom. I'm glad I looked it up because this is like kind of a bit of a nuts. This is one that like the formula is in the documentation somewhere that I found. This one took me a little while to oh, hold on. So we start out with is just the code that's in here. Alert game over location reload. Fantastic. This becomes a little bit time consuming. It took me a while to go through it. I don't know if it takes as long to do it when you're just using Phaser 2 and you could just follow the tutorial. Let's see. One of the things is I'm trying to like honor the evolution of the tutorial. So I'm leaving things out that I might have, because things change as you go along. And I think, okay, good, that works. So perfect. and the game is over when the ball reaches the bottom of the screen. Working as intended. So, okay, so populating the bricks. Okay. Brick info. Oh, I see. So, nah. Yeah, we'll just do that the same way I did that before. So, let's see. We'll start this the way that we start with all of the other things. We'll start off by making a key. Brick key equals brick. And then, let's see here. We load the image. This load image, brick key assets. PNG. I'm assuming that's what it is. I'll double check here. Yes, that is accurate. Great. I am enthused. So let's see. I think we'll want to create a this dot bricks variable, and then let's see. We'll make a create bricks method here. And then let's see, I think we want bricks to equal we want to add a static group. Let me come back to, I don't like to stay in this tutorial because I feel like it's kind of like cheating. And then the other thing is I won't be explaining things very well if I'm just like copying stuff. And then I don't have to think about it. So I'm not like explaining what I'm doing. I'm just like more or less just copying and pasting. So let's see here. I think the platforms would be similar. Yeah, create platforms from the previous thing, static group. Okay, so we don't need to do anything with that, and we'll just make brick info constant, and we'll start copying. Yeah, we loaded the brick and the brick stuff, and I'm just going to copy this object because there's not a lot of point in typing it all in, is there? Oh, here, let me. Yeah, great. So now we have all the information there for the bricks. And this will be used to iterate over and create bricks. Okay, yes, adding a group, but that's going to be different. So we start a for loop for we're let column equal 1. Our ending condition will be column is less than info count and column. Great. And then now we need a row iterator. Row equals 0, row is less than brick info count row. And that would supposed to be inside of the parentheses. row plus plus, for loops. They're like magic. Now inside of this, what we want to do is, let's see, let brick x equal 0, brick y equal 0, and we'll have to come back and change those values. They're just being silly. For instance, break. We don't need to deal with this immovable nonsense. Okay, so what we will do is so bricks, create, and then let's see, brick y, and let's see the brick key. Right. That'll take care of all the details of basically everything that's contained in here. And by creating a static group, we create objects that can't be moved. They can still be involved in collisions, but they can't be moved. So let's see. That takes care of basically all that. It won't do this change, but yeah. So let's see. Yes, now we will do this. I'm just going to copy this and then modify the thing for the more descriptive variable names that I used. Okay. Column. And they don't have any spaces in there. That's going to bug me. Okay. And then we come back to here. They're basically, this is just a calculation to determine the position of the bricks, so it's nothing too crazy. You could basically just work it out yourself. It's the number of the column times the width of the brick plus the spacing between them, and pretty much there you go at that point. So with the no spaces though, it's like, why do you want to make my eyes bleed? And then the final thing we have to do is return bricks, and then we shall come up here into the create method, and we'll assign the value of this.bricks to return value of create bricks, and then we'll also add collider between this.ball and this.bricks. One advantage of it is you can add collisions to groups. You don't have to go through and attach that to every one of them. So yes, now it is colliding. Fantastic. Gotta love your collisions. Let's see if we have any issues. And we're gradually losing people. Not the most surprised. Let's see here. All right, so that's it for that step, and I think the next step is collision detection. So, wait, we already have that. Okay, so we'll. Oh, that's just a fantastically descriptive method name, which I'm going to use verbatim. So, ball hit brick. And I think that takes arguments. Yeah. As do most. Okay. Most of these. So then Brick is going to, we're gonna see here. Yeah, disable body. First value disables the physics. The second one makes it not appear. So we'll do both of those, and then we will call that method from the collider. Add this dot ball hit Brick, and then we have to. The next one is something, and then this is the context. This is my second really just like tutorial that I'm going through with Phaser, so I am not an expert on Phaser. I can't tell you what everything does. I know that there's like a bazillion arguments on a lot of this stuff. So yeah. Oh good. So it's properly being disabled. So at this point, it's almost like a game. Great. Mess with that too long. I'm actually like, hey, we're not doing too bad. Get through some. Oh God, I'm just like getting. Yeah. So the here, this is another example of stuff that is from Phaser 2 that doesn't work anymore. So now we can make a score text. So basically, we can copy the format for the score label from the project I went through last week. So we'll make a UI folder in the public directory, and in there we will make a score label.js file. We'll have to import Phaser, and then we'll have a little helper method that will format the score. I am having struggles typing. Okay, this is a lot of live coding to do. Honestly, it's mildly exhausting, especially like trying to type at the same time. I haven't done a lot of this stuff for quite a while, so I was like a little more on my game once upon a time because I was doing it more often. Text. Okay. We're gonna make this score label that extends the Phaser text, whatever game object, and then the constructor is gonna take all of these things and super most of it just as is, except for the score. It's gonna format the score and blah. Okay, so then we set this score equals score. And then this, so this, the purpose of this is that it contains the ability to keep track of the score and update the display. So it's kind of putting it all in one place. That's was a whole thing that was explained in the tutorial that I went through last week. But I mean, for me going through it, I wouldn't recommend just like watching me going through it. I would like follow the tutorial yourself because I don't think I added a ton. If anything, like watching me going through it was probably less educational than going through it yourself because it's like at least when you're going through it, you're like reading the rationale behind everything they're doing. I would love to do. I would love to convey all of that, but as it happens, I push to the limits of my ability simply to speak in some fashion at the same time as I'm coding, and to try to say things that are at least somewhat meaningful or descriptive as to what is actually going on with what I'm doing. Which I do like to try, but as I say that, obviously I'm just wandering off into the blogosphere as I type stuff. We're importing the score label here, and now we need to add. I was getting confused because I was looking at the sample code on the right. Score label, define. Okay. Sometimes typos and autocomplete don't go together very well. So I'm gonna need to make a create score label method at this point. I think I'm gonna keep the create methods next to each other. Go down here for an example. Okay. And this is going to take some arguments. Let's see here. I think I was going with a font size of 20 px. Font family, Arial, fill. Go with E, since we have a black background. I know they wanted us to make a white background, but I did not do that. Label equals new score label. I'm gonna look up, see if I can look up. Okay, yeah, let's see if I can find the stuff here. That's not what I'm looking for. This is an example of the documentation that isn't very helpful because it doesn't give any examples or anything. Text style fields. Yeah, here we go. That's what I was looking for. Let's see. So what I want is stroke thickness. I'm holding back the Michael Scott right now. I'm really holding back the Michael Scott right now. Okay. Let's see. I think I'm going to say 0.6. And then we can get back to creating the score label. All right. Fantastic. And I am just boldly using the semicolons in defiance of the tutorial that I was following last week. I have the habit. It's so hard not to. Okay, so we'll return the label, and then we can go back here into the create method, and we will set this .score label to the return value of create score label. But we also need arguments. So let me see what they had over here in the tutorial. 5 and 0. Okay. So, and this is a case where we're doing things quite differently than what they were doing in the MDN tutorial, which has to do with even more than just simply, yeah, that looks about right to me. Okay, so now I think we go into ball hit brick, the lovely descriptive method name. This score label add, and I'm just gonna say 50 offhand. So that should make it so you get 50 points every time a ball is hit. Yay! Every time a ball is hit, now you get 50 points. If the ball goes off the screen, then you die. Is it more fun now that you have a score? Maybe a little. Great. So that is that. Let's see. Updating the score when the bricks are destroyed. Done. Let's see. Dun, dun, dun. I think what I'm going to do now is interrupt the stuff that we have there for a second, and I'm going to go ahead and add in a step that was not in the tutorial. Let's go ahead and add sound. For that, I'm going to go back into my, oh, no. I meant to do that in the other window. I could do this without referring to my previous stuff, but as it happens, it's really just would be a question of looking up some stuff. That's all. So I'm gonna, to add these sounds, I'm gonna start off, it works similar to images, so I'm just gonna make a couple of keys. Paddle hit key equals paddle hit. Oh, paddle hit. It doesn't matter what we put here because we'll use the variable every time. So regardless of what we assign, what value we assign to the variable, as long as it isn't conflicting with the value we assign to another variable, another constant, then we won't have any issues. So we'll go down to the create stuff here, and we will load this audio from the source. So this load audio, hit key, assets. And so the name is a little funky. So I'm just going to go into assets folder and copy the name here. Fantastic. And that'll just be a, nope, not a .png, it'll be a .wave. Wave file, ride the wave, man. Then let's load the other sound. Brick hit key will assign to, let me find the other sound file here. And again, I just got these off of freesound.org. And then all we need to do from there is to go down, let's see, for the paddle hit, I think you need to make a ball hit paddle method. Let's see. So after ball hit brick, I'll make a ball hit I'll follow their naming convention. Ball, hit, paddle. Ball, paddle. Okay. Okay, so then I have to come down here. We'll have to go back up to the create method and change a couple of things, but first we can do this sound, play, paddle, hit key. Great, so that'll make that sound play every time. And then for the ball hitting the brick, we will a ball hit brick hit key. There we go. Excellent. Then all we have to do is add the ball hit paddle method to the collider, so it'll be invoked similar to the what we did with the bricks. So this ball hit paddle, null, and this, and that should cause sound to play when things are being hit. It would appear that I made a mistake here. Paddle hit. Yeah, I got the wrong key associated with that. So now it should work. Close that out. Yeah, there you go. So now we have sounds. Huzzah, step like 12.1 or whatever. All right. Fantastic. I am feeling about ready to wrap up for the evening. Let's see. So we got sound put into the project, which is fantastic. We've got a ball, we've got bricks, we've got a paddle, we've got the score. Let's see how we're doing over here. All right, so we got up to the 12th step. 12th step, man. All right, so we will resume next week with the 12th step. We'll finish out the 16th step to put in all the features that were in the example of the game that I showed at the beginning of the presentation, or whatever we want to call this. And we may look at doing some more features. We shall see. But we are at an end to what I can do at the moment. So thank you for joining me.